All right, get our Thursday injury report from Sal Capaccio. Joins the show now on the Western Hotline. Good morning. It's Joe DiBiase, Nate Geary's in for Jeremy this morning. Morning, Sal. Got to think you're energized by the Yankees coming all the way back to tie the AL East.
Yeah, I mean, what a comeback. I mean, it pales in comparison to what's happening with the
Tigers?
Guardians and Tigers.
Oh, my, yeah.
But, I mean, yeah, a week and a half, a week ago, a little over a week ago, maybe 8 days ago, the Yankees, I think, were 5 games out. And I was listening to Michael Kay last night on the broadcast. He said, think about that. They were 5 games out, and since that point, they went 6-1. And the Blue Jays went 1-6. There's your 5 games. Bam, right there. Like that. So incredibly sudden.
Yeah.
I am energized about it. It's cool. And partly because, too, that, the Yankees have the Orioles this weekend, and they can be a tough out, but, you're better than the Orioles. You need to go out and you need to beat them. On top of the White Sox again tonight, which you need to sweep the White Sox, obviously. Mm-hmm. And then who do the Jays have? The Rays, I think, right?
They have the Rays.
Season? I think that's who they have.
Yep.
So, I mean, here it is. The thing that bothers me is the Yankees lost the series to the Jays this year.
So they don't have a tiebreaker.
All it is one game. If they would have won one game, they'd have a 2-game lead right now, obviously.
Right. Yeah, and the Jays, who play the Rays, I mean, they lost 20 to. Didn't they lose 20-1 to the Royals recently? Like, they've had some bad losses, Toronto, as we've gone down the stretch here. Yeah, the baseball playoff race has been awesome.
And the Mets, how about the Mets? 5-12 in their last 17 games. They had a huge lead. They might miss on the last day of the regular season.
I thought they were out.
They're in currently.
Are you sure?
Okay.
Yes, that's what I heard this morning.
They're in by a game over the Diamondbacks. Yep.
Gotcha.
They are 81-77. Diamondbacks are 80-78. They have a 1-game wild card lead over the Diamondbacks and the Reds, by the way. 2 teams right behind them.
Yeah. Do you very quickly? We're obviously going to get to the Bills here, but baseball expanded their playoffs, and this is what they want, right? Like more teams. Like the Marlins are still playing for something, right? Like they have an outside chance. Like this is what they wanted, right? Like more teams having something to play for at the end.
Oh my God, yeah, I think that's the goal for sure. I don't know if you guys ever grew up without a wild card in baseball because I think it changed late 90s, early 2000s, right?
Yep.
I mean, I grew up with a lot of people listening that you had 2 divisions in each league. The leagues didn't play each other, and one team won each division.
Yeah,
and that was it.
That was it.
2 pennants, and that was it. Yeah.
That's wild. Sal Capaccio on the Western Hotline.
Crazy.
Yeah. So, Sal, before we get to the Bills, we spent a lot of the first hour on Sunday's Chiefs and Ravens matchup, and I'm sure you've spent some time thinking about this. I don't know if you've ended up on a landing spot or even if there is one, but do you think that there is a good approach on who Bills fans should want to win? I don't like labeling as rooting for because I don't know if anyone's going to be rooting for them actively as the game's going on, like cheering, but who do you think Bills fans should want to win between Baltimore and Kansas City?
Well, first of all, I get a lot of people saying they should want a tie. Okay, great. I mean, come on, what are the chances, right? Okay, you're all right. Yes, everybody who says root for a tie. Okay, I guess you're all right, but okay, we're not rooting for ties here. You got to root for a team to win because it impacts the Bills. If it happens, I guess it's great. Doesn't have to be, by the way. Tie doesn't have to be great because each team's not getting a loss. Okay. Mm-hmm. I think, and I said this before the Ravens played the Lions, and I'm going to be consistent on this now. I said if the Ravens beat the Lions, root for the Chiefs to beat the Ravens. Mm-hmm. If the Ravens lose to the Lions, which happened, root for the Ravens to beat the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. And here's why for me. And you could look at it this a couple different ways. The Bills already have a 2.5-game lead on the Ravens. So essentially a 3-game lead, right? They have a 3-game lead on the Ravens because they have 2 more losses, the Ravens do, and the Bills beat them head-to-head. The Bills only have a 2-game lead right now on the Chiefs. A loss by them puts them also at 3 games behind you. A loss by the Chiefs puts both teams 3 games behind you. If the Chiefs were to win the game, they'd be 2 games, assuming the Bills win. They'd be 2 games, and they still come to Buffalo and play you. So they would have a chance to close that gap to 1 game with a head-to-head.
Right.
So why not give them another loss so both teams are 3 games behind you? Then even if you were to lose the Chiefs, they'd still have a lot of ground to make up, right? I mean, I think that's how it is. Now we debated this on It's Always Game Day in Buffalo a bit, and Matt Bove and I there's no right answer, but Matt said the only pushback would be he thinks the Ravens are winning that division regardless.
Mm-hmm. That's what I think.
Right. So why not just root for I guess who would it be in that?
That would be
scenario?
rooting
Chiefs, I
for
guess?
that would be rooting for Baltimore because you would be saying.
Well, I think you root for Baltimore anyway. Then, yeah.
Yeah,
so there you go.
I think that's where I'm at. I think Baltimore is the answer, especially that loss to Detroit, like you said, really sets yourself up to be comfortable with. You got a 3-game lead on them. You take care of business against New Orleans. I mean, if you think about it, like when Howard picked the Bills on Tuesday, Sal, like he's got them with 3 losses. Like if they end up with 3 or 4 losses, that's Baltimore having to run the table from here on out to get the 1 seed, and that is so hard. And that's if the Bills do that. Versus, that's how I'm thinking about it. The divisions.
Okay, wait. Here's what Matt was saying. Okay, real quick, so I don't forget this. Okay, this is why.
Yep.
Because he said. He thinks, try follow the path here. He thinks because he believes Baltimore's going to win the division anyway, root for Kansas City because you don't want them to be a wild card. Because Baltimore won't be a wild card. You don't want the worst possible scenarios are both are wild card teams. Right?
Yes, I do agree with that.
Like, do you understand what I mean? He's saying root for the Chiefs to win the division. I don't agree with that. I think a third loss at a tough division is you're putting them at a little bit of peril here.
Agreed. And Sal, we just walked through their schedule. Sal, you can get to 8 losses semi-easily for Kansas City.
It's a tough schedule. Yeah, I don't know that I'm on board with wanting them to win their division. Right? Like,
yeah, I don't think so either.
Because, man, so many things could happen. And that would be assuming they're going to win a game on the road as a wild card team. And where are they going? Are they going to Baltimore or the Chargers? Because those don't look like easy games at all if you're Kansas City. I don't think you want that. So I guess it's a good question, though, because there are so many ways to look at it. You said, like, there's no right answer. Maybe there's only right answers, right? Because one way or another, Bills fans will feel good on Sunday night that one of those teams are 1-3.
Yeah, I think so. When you look at the standings, you see 1-3. Well, who wins who is the threat to win the North other than...
It's just Pittsburgh, right?
It's just Pittsburgh, right?
Yes, it's just Pittsburgh.
You can't expect Cincy at this point.
No, they're done. Since he's cooked. Their season's over.
And Cleveland's got an amazing defense, but that offense isn't doing that. So, right, it's Pittsburgh, and I don't know how much you've seen of them yet, Sal. Like, Sunday morning they're going to play at 9:30 a.m., although you're busy on Sunday mornings.
Yeah, that's right.
But they've won 2 games, but they've not looked good doing it.
You know, the Ravens and Steelers do not even play until December. And they have 2 games over the last, 5-6 weeks.
Well, they do play Baltimore close a lot, so maybe if the division's still live by then.
But always lose. They might play them close, but they always lose.
So they sneak a win in there once in a while. We'll see. So that's Sunday at 4:25. The Bills will play, of course, before that at 1, so hopefully we're staring at them 4-0 beforehand. Let's, Sal, get to the injury report. The Barnes Firm Injury Report brought to you by the Barnes Firm. Injured for help, call 1-800-8-million. So... to the added names on the report, let's start with Spencer Brown, Sal, who did not practice yesterday. How concerning is that? Did we get any other indications of what happened there other than just he was on the report?
Yeah, not too concerned after he was on One Bills Live yesterday, and he basically said it happened during the game last week, kind of fought through it, and he thinks he'll be good to go. Like, that's kind of his assessment. So we'll see where it goes. Calf injuries, you never know. You got to be careful. They could lead to something else if you're not careful enough with them, and something more severe long term. So I'm not too concerned after hearing him talk about it, you know what I mean, and where he stands. I think the more concerning might be AJ Epenesa, because he was not even mentioned by Sean McDermott during yesterday's media briefing. And then he was on the field, and then he was limited with a pectoral injury. As we've seen many times before, we might see a guy limited, because maybe the coach didn't, maybe a trainer and the player got together before practice and said, hey, something's bothering him. Okay, let's back off him a little bit. So you get that at the end of practice when you didn't know. Maybe something could happen like that. When I see pectoral limited, I'm wondering, did something happen at practice? And pectoral could be something significant. Or it might not be. We don't know. So let's wait to see where that lands today. And, AJ Epenesa at defensive end doves into, what we've talked about before here with Landon Jackson and who's getting a jersey, who's not, Michael Hoyt coming back in a few weeks. So all of this is kind of baked into it. So I think today will be an interesting day to see if AJ Epenesa is on the field.
Sal, the other guy yesterday, I think maybe we got an update. I don't know. It's kind of tough to tell how McDermott was phrasing the Max Haristen conversation. But, it was kind of a he could or he couldn't. And I think yesterday seeing some video for the first time of him working with a pretty heavy knee brace, what was the vibes you got after Sean McDermott spoke about his potential availability this season, and maybe inadvertently casting some doubt on that?
It's very interesting, right, Nate? Like, there are so many ways to look at this and kind of what was said and what you saw. Before I say that, let me tell you, Milano and Oliver didn't practice yesterday, but Sean McDermott said they're both progressing, and we'll see where the week goes. He kind of said we'll take it day by day. So they could be on the field today. I just wanted to give that, just to wrap that up on there with those guys. We'll see. Okay, so let me just kind of walk everybody through what happened yesterday and this really interesting stuff with Max Haristen. So Sean McDermott says yesterday he's asked by Matt Perino about a status update on Maxwell Haristen. And Maxwell Haristen can basically begin practicing next week if the team chooses to do that. So he was basically asked, like, what are your thoughts right now on him? And you guys know the way Sean is about injuries, and he's very general. He doesn't like to put himself in, some sort of, box where, you're putting expectations on certain things. So he said he's working and moving in the right direction. I don't know how many weeks it'll be. You got to remember now, Max has been out since whatever day or week in training camp. So all the physical part, yes, but all the mental part, the playbook and those things. So right now, I think lowering expectations and managing them and just taking it one day at a time and seeing when and if he can come back. Okay. That's what McDermott said. I think the if part is what really raises alarm bells with people, and I totally get that. I'll also tell you, I've covered this coach since he got here 9 years ago. He always plays it a little safe when it comes to injuries because he doesn't want to put expectations on guys coming back. Because if you say, oh, we think he's going to come back in 2 weeks, and for some reason you don't, now you have way more questions, right? It's just not something he does. I'm not dismissing the point that maybe Max Haristen doesn't come back this year because the injury, because Dorian Strong's on the team and playing right now, because of all the reps he would need to get ready. Not dismissing that at all. But I didn't get right to, oh my God, he's saying he might not come back this year. I think he's just doing what he normally does, which is, hey, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. He's got a lot of work to do, and when the time comes, we'll see where he's at. That's the way I interpreted it.
Yeah.
Then we go out to the field. We see Max Haristen for the first time that we've seen him on the field, working with a trainer. He's got this huge brace on his right knee. And immediately, a lot of the reaction on social media from the videos that I posted to me were, oh my God, look at that brace. It's huge. I can't see any way he comes back anytime soon. My reaction was, he's got a brace on because a lot of guys wear braces when they're, rehabbing, and he actually was moving pretty well with a brace. That's what I thought. But I do think, there's a lot of different ways you could take this. I think at the end of the day, my interpretation is Max Harrison's not going to be ready next week to start practicing. But could it be the week after? Maybe. And then once that happens, they have 3 weeks to put him on the field. At that point, when they finally feel ready that maybe he's ready to play, where really is he? How much time has he lost? Where is the team and the roster right now and what you've already invested with guys being on the field? So I think there's just a lot of different things here, guys.
Yeah. Is it 3 games or 3 weeks? Does the bye week give you a bonus? 3 weeks.
21 days. 21 days. It does not matter games.
Okay. So
the way I look at you, I think what they would do is you'd get information from medical staff, and you'd say, okay, when do we think he might really be able to play? And I'll just throw a date out there. I don't know. Let's say they say December 1st. Okay, let's go back 21 days from then. That's when we should start having him ramp up. Right? You know what I mean? I think you have to work backward in a situation like this where you don't just put him on the field and say, let's see what happens in 3 weeks. I think you have a plan and think, is there a date we think that he should be more available and we're confident he's going to be not re-injuring himself? Yes. Okay. From that date, where can we start him to practice 21 days before that? That's what I think you probably do here.
Would you be surprised if the fact that, he's already doing something on the field. I know he's not practicing. He's just out there doing some rehab work. Would you not be surprised if we got to a place where it just was he's going to get shut down for the season?
At this point, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know, though, if that happens, if it's because the injury was so severe,
or the mental part,
or because people in front of him have made gains and you feel confident and you don't want to, you don't really have a spot there to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's kind of both, right? I mean, because if he's super healthy, then you're doing that. But I mean, like, you have decisions to make too. I'm not saying you don't put him on the roster because you don't want to, waive Jamarcus Ingram, for example, something like that. What I'm saying is, though, I think that you might want to just slow play it and make sure. I don't know. I think about Isaiah Hodgins a few years ago. I know, totally different player, not the same situation. Isaiah Hodgins a few years ago was on IR. And like in November, or maybe it was December, the Bills actually put him on the field and practiced. I'm like, oh, he's going to be coming back. He practiced for 3 weeks and he never played. They just went back on IR.
Mm-hmm.
And all they did was basically put him on the field to make sure, see where he is, get some rehab in, get a look at him, and where are we with our roster after 3 weeks. Like,
right.
I could see that happening too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's you're right. Like, there are so many possible outcomes. I guess what I'm thinking is, if you think he's available for you at any point during the year, I mean, that's a position where you've got your guys right now, but Benford's got an injury history. Trey White's got an injury history. And I wonder if you would just want every available option available to you at the end of the year if you get into a pinch. Last year they did get into a pinch. But if he hasn't seen the field, I wonder what they even think of him as an option.
Right.
He wouldn't be a normal backup. It would be a guy you've never seen play for you. So.
I mean, just think a year ago about what we thought about and saw from Cole Bishop after missing a lot less time than what Max Haristen's missing.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like, if you put him on the field, and it's like, well, he can't. He's not. Why isn't he playing? And he's playing this spot duty role, and he's not quite ready. And when you see him play, it's a little bit uneven. I mean, that was Cole Bishop last year, and Cole Bishop only missed training camp basically. You know, I think what he said is right about the mental reps too, the physical reps. Guys, I mean, he hasn't practiced since July 29th.
Yeah.
That's the day he got hurt.
So, but
right? I mean, that's
yeah,
so
that's
it's almost 2 months.
That's a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, almost 2 months for Haristen not practicing. All right, so that's on Haristen. If I go back to the Epenesa thing for a moment, so we'll see about that today, but so that really could open the door. Like, we've had this debate, and you've had it with Matt Bovee about Landon Jackson and the numbers at that position, and will he get a game day jersey? It's I don't want to say especially because of the Saints, but it is an easier opponent on paper. I wonder if the Bills, who have already kind of been doing this year, would opt for being conservative on Epenesa's injury if it's something that he's dealing with, and it affords you the opportunity to get a guy a jersey that hasn't got a chance yet.
Yeah, I think that could happen if, depending on where that injury is. I mean, if AJ's fine, totally fine, he's playing, I think, but if it's any question, maybe you say, let's give Landon Jackson an opportunity, and you still have Javon Solomon, obviously. One thing about Javon Solomon playing is Ed Oliver's availability might impact what he does because they've been kicking him inside on passing downs, right? He's kind of playing a bit of a hybrid role right now. So I think a lot of it starts with, is Ed Oliver available? And then from there you go, what about AJ Epenesa? And, that could impact both, even though Solomon and Landon Jackson both defensive ends, because Solomon's been doing other things as well. But I do think that's something you could take a look at for sure.
Very, very quickly on that follow-up, because we've, again, been talking about this, like numbers of the position. There's almost kind of like a mini second cut-down day coming when guys return from suspension. Have you thought at all about whether Curtis Samuel is safe on this roster when they start getting guys back?
I have, and I don't know. It's a good question. Right now he's inactive. I guess the way I look at it is when you get Hoyt and Ogunjobi back, you have to look around the roster and say, where could the cut come from? And again, let's hope they get in a situation where they have to do this and it's not injury dictated by injury, right?
Yep.
Okay, so that would be the better scenario, even though you hate to see it for a guy. That's the better scenario. And I look at, who's been inactive? One guy's been Jamarcus Ingram. Guys, even without Max Harrison, they rolled with 3 outside corners last week.
All right.
And they still have Dane Jackson on the practice squad if you have for elevations. Could you, if it's Jamarcus Ingram, he gets through waivers, he could also be on the practice squad and be elevated. And yes, I think Curtis Samuel would be an option there. He's been inactive right now. He wouldn't have to go through waivers. Would he even be willing to go to the practice squad, a veteran like that? I'm not sure. Or you just move on from him. And you have Christian Wilkerson there. So I have thought about it. I don't think it has to come from D end or D tackle, but man, are you really going to keep 12
Right.
at that total at that position, that's a tough sell, I think, on a roster.
And the other guy, like Shaver's making the 53-man roster, Sal, like he's not, I don't think he's given away his spot. Like he's made a couple of catches. I looked this morning, he's got the 6th best run blocking grade of any receiver in the league so far this year. So Elijah Moore's made a couple of plays. Like I don't really think there's anybody that's been active that is ready to give their spot to Samuel.
I agree. I think Tyrell Shavers is playing a role, and an important role for them. And
Special
Curtis
teams
Samuel
too.
isn't replicating that role. Curtis Samuel would more be a substitute for Elijah Moore, right? I think, or
Right.
Joshua Palmer,
Right.
or Khalil Shakir, whatever. But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And those guys are regular players right now on the team. I mean, I don't know. I'm looking around the roster. Matt brought up maybe Sam Franklin, as great as he's been on special teams, and
He's been great.
I
on
don't know.
special teams.
That it could be, but they really like him for special teams, right? And what he's doing. And I know it didn't go great last week, though. It's as great as it is the week before. He made all these tackles. But is that an area where you say, you know what, we might have to take a look at that? Mm-hmm. Again, I'll go back to what I said about Landon Jackson when we had this conversation, about TJ Sanders when we had this conversation. It's a good problem to have. It means your roster's good, right? I don't know. I get people telling me all the time how ridiculous that is to say how good this roster is. How good, dude? Yes, it is. It's a good roster. They're 3-0. They're contending for championships. Is it perfect? It's not perfect. Could we say maybe they shouldn't have drafted a defensive end in the 3rd round? Absolutely, I could understand that. Maybe not. Maybe a defensive tackle in the 2nd round, given everything. We could go through all of that. I totally understand that. But when you have mid, even earlier mid draft picks, mid round, that you have to decide if they actually, or if they're fighting for roster spots, it just is a testament to the strength of the roster above them. And I don't think that's a bad thing.
Well, I'm glad the bye week lines up with all this because it'll give us some good timing to talk about it. That's after this week 6 against Atlanta.
Yeah, I do have one clarification, something I've been saying, and I wanted to make sure everybody knew. So we found out yesterday because Rashee Rice had come back from his suspension to be in the building with the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. So apparently Hoyt and Ogunjobi are back in the building already. I haven't seen them.
Oh, okay.
But they are able to, because I went in the CBA and I did look. You are allowed to return to the building as far as meetings halfway through your suspension. It's been 3 games. That's halfway. So they are now in meetings. They can't practice, though. I think the question I'm still looking for clarification on is, can they practice after 4 weeks?
Yeah.
Or do they have to wait? I think they have to wait till their suspension is up to practice, actually. But they are in the building now and allowed to be in the building in meetings because it's halfway through, because Rashee Rice is also back and he has a 6-game suspension.
What do you have, the CBA downloaded in your laptop? You got a hard copy that you're walking around with? You got a little pocketbook with it?
Oh my God! When it was signed in 21, I read through it, man. It's crazy. I mean, obviously there's a lot of things I didn't read, but it's 400 something pages. But
right.
No. There's just a lot of things that come up, and I kind of know by now where to look for those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're quick.
And I actually do. You could look it up online. And I do, and sometimes I just go and reference it, and I've referenced it many times. And when things like this come up, you're like, well, it's got to be written somewhere. Like, they have to have a rule for it, right? So, I go and take a look. But that is what it is. It's halfway through. But it doesn't say in there. I think this is this is why I don't know, and I have to get clarification. This has got to be some sort of commissioner's note or memo somewhere when they can start practicing. But they can return to the building halfway through the suspension.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you, Sal, and we'll chat tomorrow.
You got it, guys.
Northtown Automotive Extra Point Show coming up at 10 o'clock as well.